conference account is currently locked out. What did I do?
Yes, we are ready, Councilmember Zepone. I'm going to call to order the October 20th PIES committee meeting. And the first discussion we have is the Public Works Monthly Director's Report with Marlene Feist.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's now afternoon. I know you guys have been busy today. So I got a couple of topics for you. Does this work?
It should, but if it doesn't, I'm so sorry, and I will be your mouse.
I'm thinking, thanks, Shay.
I'll see you.
No worries. So we've talked a little bit about this, but I just wanted to kind of get you up to speed on where we are with relicensing the Upriver Dam. So our goal here is to obtain a 40-year license for the dam using what's called the integrated licensing process. That process allows us for a little more flexibility, also allows us to have more interaction with FERC to ensure a more successful outcome. Our process also will have participation by various city departments. We had a kind of a launch a couple of weeks ago, and in addition to public works staff, we also had planning and parks, and then we'll talk a little bit about engagement outside of the city. Also, all of you as elected officials and owners of the dam will help us with this process. So obviously the water department owns and operates the dam. It was built in 1894. It's called what's a run-of-river dam, which means it has a limited pool behind the dam. It was originally built in 1936, so approaching 100 years old. There were upgrades done in the 1980s. The existing license was acquired in 1981. It's a 208-foot-long concrete gravity dam. Obviously, our primary use for the power generated at the dam is to power the pumps that deliver water throughout our system. And then our excess power is sold to Avista. So as we talk about the dam, this is the project boundary, that whole red area. So basically it runs along the shoreline. So that area is basically the part of the river that's influenced by the dam. And so that's the area that we'll be looking at in terms of studies and engagement with the public. Go ahead, Shay. This is kind of blurry, but it shows the actual dam itself with the forebay and the spillway, and so you can kind of see that's what's on site. And this is sort of the how the relicensing process works. We're in that first dark blue square. We're working on our pre-filing, so we have to basically send in our pre-application by the end of May. We're shooting for an April pre-application date to FERC, and then we're going to do a bunch of studies based on our analysis, and then prepare what's called a draft license application and then a final application. So this is about a 5-year process to get through this level of work. So here's the types of studies that we would anticipate. So we're going to look at recreational uses, water quality, fishing, land use, cultural and tribal issues, and then any historic sites, recreation management. So those are the kinds of studies that we would anticipate having to do in advance of this work, also looking at the structural integrity of the dam itself. So right now we're going to start with our pre-process engagement. So we're going to be doing some 1-hour interviews with key stakeholders, and then going to more broad public involvement as we move along past the pre-application process. Here's some of this is not an all-inclusive list, but you get the idea of the kinds of groups and people that we'll be wanting to talk to outside of the city. So all of those state agencies, federal agencies, partners like Avista and Phelps Field, which is adjacent to the dam. Whoops. No worries. Thank you. Obviously, stakeholders like the Riverkeeper and the River Forum. There's other people on this list, and also our tribal neighbors. Oh, I guess, and that's it on that topic. I don't know if anybody has any questions. It's an important thing, right? It's been 50 years since we got the last license, and we want to be able to keep that as an asset for maintaining lower water rates for our community.
Marlene, you went through all that. Just what amount of time are we looking at for this whole relicensing process?
It's about 5 years. So our license actually expires in like the end of May of 2031. So we're starting now with the pre-application process. We're going to spend a bunch of time doing studies and evaluations of the dam. We might have to make upgrades to the dam. We've secured a loan through a federal agency to do dam upgrades. Mark Papich and his team at ICM did that. And so that's what will happen in the interim. So we're going to do our pre-application. We're going to do a bunch of work. We're going to talk to people. We're going to figure out what we need to do there. And then toward the end, we'll do a draft application and then hopefully get a final one in advance of the end of May of 2031. Okay. And then this was a request of Councilmember Bingle on which things were delayed. We did have the strike of the operators, which also included the people who operate the asphalt plants and people who were employed by some of the contractors that we use. So fortunately, we were able to we're going to be able to get most things done. We have a few that are going to get held over into 2026. So this was the work between the Maple Street Bridge and basically the I-90 corridor. We did some concrete curb cuts and ADA ramps in here, but we were not able to do the actual grind and overlay work. So that, because we were planning to do that mostly at night. So by the time the strike was over, the nighttime temperatures were not conducive for paving. So we're going to hold that project to 2026 construction. This is another grind and overlay project. We're able to get the Broadway work done, but we will not be able to do the Sprague Avenue work. So Sprague is going to be postponed in this area between Freya and Havana, and that will happen in early 26. This is really a transmission main project, and then obviously street on top. So the section where the Dan's team has pointed out with red arrows will not be finished this year. You can see a current kind of look of construction project that Kirsten gave us a great picture of, but that sort of upper north area will wait until 2026. And then this project, we did bid that section of 3rd Avenue over to the right, between Division and Washington, but we're not going to do that work this year. We're going to delay it to 2026. And just so for your information, the rest of that area is planned for 2026. This is a couple different projects, but it just kind of shows you how it connects with that little project that we're going to hold, but then also we have Washington Stevens to the south of 3rd Avenue. And we have 3rd from Walnut all the way through the Washington Stevens corridor. So that's not ready to go out to bid those pieces, so we don't know if it's going to be done in 2 or 3. It depends on what makes sense to the engineers as they prepare the bidding documents. But this is a really important project also because that Washington Stevens corridor, once we finish this piece, will really be reworked all the way up to Mission on the north side. So a great, plus we did the 3 bridges over the river. So this has been a great way to improve really an important corridor, north-south corridor through the community. Dan is going to come in November and talk about 2026 construction, but we just kind of wanted to show you the things that were held over. The rest of the construction work plan we expect to get done. Streets was able to complete all of its arterial grind and overlays. They're working on the last one out on Qualchin right now. So we were actually pretty successful despite a bit of a hiccup in the middle of the season. That's it for me.
Questions? Thank you, Marlene.
Thanks.
Next, we have Chris Averett coming up to talk about the Rainer Hershaw appointment.
Good afternoon, council members. This resolution seeks to appoint Rainer Hershaw to the position of Director of Water and Hydroelectric Services. Rainer comes to the city of Spokane after serving in the United States Marine Corps and has spent the last 7 years in a public works leadership position with the city of Austin. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on his candidacy. All right.
Chris, when do you expect him to be here?
He is scheduled to start December 15th.
Okay, thank you.
I think I've got a couple more. So do you want me to go into those or?
Yeah.
Okay. The next item is a resolution for the annual update for public rule for the tap and meter fees for the water department. This updates the fees based off current labor rates and also the material costs. There are two changes worth noting. One is that it removes the sell by the city for backflow assemblies. Historically, these were inventoried by the cities to provide to contractors to ensure that the correct backflow assembly was provided. Since then, there's been standardized lists developed, and so as part of the last water regulations update, we've just started referencing a list that they can purchase and directly, and then these are also inspected by the city as well to ensure that the appropriate one was installed. The other change is that we've removed the listing of mechanical meters. These are obsolete, and we've since upgraded to the smart meters, so these have been removed from the meter and tap fees. So then accompanying this is also an ordinance to incorporate these into the section 13.04 of the Spokane Municipal Code. We also did a periodic review and also included some other minor updates such as department names and titles. So happy to answer any questions on those. Okay. And then the final one is we also completed a periodic review of sections 13.03 and 13.05 of the Spokane Municipal Code for wastewater. These just updated names and titles, and if there were any discrepancies between the currently adopted sewer installation handbook, those were corrected as well. All right.
Questions? Thanks,
right.
everyone.
And I've got a quick presentation here on waste energy air emissions monitoring. This is in regards to one of our consent items that we have, just to provide some further context. The waste energy monitors emissions continuously. You can see up there the criteria that we measure for as part of our air operating permit. So these are measured 24/7, 365. And then as part of the contract, DECO comes in quarterly and conducts a relative accuracy test audit, or RATA. What this does is it collects samples and measures for those criteria and compares them to the results that we're getting for a continuous emissions monitoring system. And then in addition to that, they come in annually to conduct an annual emissions test. You can go to the next slide. During this process, they collect a sample of the gas out of the stack, and then they condense it into liquid form. This is so that we can measure things that are in small quantities that it's not feasible to measure continuously. Some examples of this are dioxins, furans, metals, particulate, acid gases, ammonia, hydrocarbons, and PCBs. So they'll collect a sample, cool it down so it's in liquid phase, and then take it to an analytical lab and then measure those criteria, and then submit a report to us that we then submit to the regulatory agencies. Next slide. So this contract is number 3 of 4 for renewals, and at annual cost of $155,000 plus tax. Also of note, we've got 2 other contracts on the consent agenda in regards to our air emissions control. We've got activated carbon, which we inject into the flue gas to tie up heavy metals like lead, mercury, so that they deposit out. And then also fabric filter bags. These are used to collect the particulate in the flue gas and remove that before it's discharged to atmosphere. So any questions on that?
Member Bingo.
All right, so as we do all the lab testing and we get the reports back, how do we do on those reports?
We're like, well below the emissions limits. So, I can't ever recall a excursion or anything beyond our limits, so.
Who sets those limits?
We've got various, ultimately it's the local air agency, so Spokane Regional Clean Air Agency is the regulatory authority for our air operating permit, but we do have other regulatory agencies like the Department of Ecology or the EPA that also have, limits that apply as well that we are held to abide by.
So would you say that the city of Spokane does a good job of protecting the air
Yes.
for its citizens?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Other
All right.
questions? Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nate Sulia with 2 items, general facilities rates and transportation impact fees.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Nate Solia from ICM, just here to show you a quick update on the annual GFC and transportation impact fee updates. Cool. Just a reminder, the GFCs are calculated annually based on the annual change in the Engineering News Record Cost Construction Index in October. This year, there was a 3.24% change. You might also remember that when GFCs were updated at the end of 23, early 2024, it was phased in over 3 years, and 2026 is the first year of that 3-year phase-in. These are the water GFCs. The middle column shows what we anticipated, or using the 2025 figure, we published what we thought it might be in 2026, but the figure on the right shows what the actual CCI was for this year. There's wastewater. We also did transportation impact fees at the same time. These are calculated based on a 5-year rolling average, still using the CCI. 5-year rolling average for this year was 4.08%. Those are the rates. Are there any questions? Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Lorena Croucher with the sidewalk replacement program update, or Kevin Picanza.
Good afternoon. I'm filling in for Lorena today for both the sidewalk pilot and Spokane Falls Boulevard project. So first on our sidewalk pilot, I want to update you on where we're at. So I'll touch on kind of these 3 general areas of planning and data collection we've been doing, the policy and alternative development, and program design. Recall about a year ago, I had a discussion with council about different approaches in terms of how to use that $500,000 in pilot funding that was provided. We recommended an approach really focused on data collection and program design, and that's what we've been working on. So a lot here. I'll break this down a little bit, kind of summarizing the work we've been doing and our overall work program in kind of 3 major categories. The first category on the left, planning and data collection, it's kind of 2 columns there. First on the missing sidewalk or sidewalk infill side of things. That data collection is complete. We utilize data from a firm called Transmap. That's really given us that binary information of do we have a sidewalk or not, or where is that sidewalk missing? So that data is at a complete stage. And then the big part of our work that's been going on and the big heavy lift throughout this past summer was on the existing condition assessment of the existing sidewalk, and I'll dive a little deeper into that work in some subsequent slides. Then moving on to the kind of second major category there, the policy alternative to development. We've been doing kind of research and looking at what other cities and agencies across the country are doing within this area in terms of dealing with their sidewalk condition and sidewalk infill needs. There's a lot of different approaches the cities are taking. We have an early draft of some of that information. We'd like to dive deeper with a few agencies or some interesting programs we'd like to understand and learn a little bit more about, and we're in the process of doing that. And then ultimately, this is all leading to hopefully a recommendation and ongoing dialogue with the council as well as administration about how we might stand up a program and figure out a funding mechanism to actually move forward with a robust program to address both infill sidewalk needs as well as addressing the poor condition of much of our existing sidewalk system. So getting into that data collection effort, that's been the biggest effort and lift to date over this past summer. We brought on 3 GIS interns in June. They were with us through early October. One of them is still with us, helping out in the office with some of that work. So they were out in the field most days of the week. We had kind of a rotation system where they each had kind of one day off where they were in the office doing kind of in-office GIS work for this program. But we're in the field most days, walking 5 to 6 miles of sidewalk a day, collecting that data. What you see on the right is a byproduct from the software and the vendor or company that we're using to do this scan called DeepWalk. You see at the bottom there kind of our data status, if you will. We've scanned 850 miles of sidewalk in the field. It's only been 150 miles processed to date. So that's kind of our holdup. We're not quite as far along as we would like in terms of receiving that data. So how this thing works is, and you can see the map on the right, we scan and collect the data. DeepWalk has to do some post-processing and some analysis of that data on their back end, and then they deliver that data to us. So to date, even though we've scanned 850 miles, they've only been able to deliver about 150 miles. Those areas are kind of noted or highlighted in green on that map. Yellow are ones that they are in the midst of processing as we speak. And then the blue is the backlog of collected data that they haven't kind of started processing yet. This is new technology and a new process. We're using LiDAR technology within an iPhone that collects it. The company has some sophisticated processes on their back end, kind of using that data, but it's still emerging technology. My impression from them on the back end, it's maybe not going quite as quick or as fast as they would like. It's taken a lot more kind of labor and post-processing on the back end from their side of things, which is why that data has been a little bit slow in coming to us. As of now, they're estimating it's going to take until about December for them to get us all of that 850 miles of sidewalk that we've scanned. This is an example of kind of the snapshot of what their product will produce. At the end of the day, it's that raw data that's the most critical to us, but the visualization, of that data is helpful. On the left there is just a snapshot from West Central, and it's kind of highlighting the condition, state of the existing sidewalk in that area. Their data is looking at a variety of things from cross slope, running slope, sidewalk accessibility, clear width, the surface condition of the sidewalk, identifying the major uplifts from those tree roots and other deterioration. And again, I want to emphasize at the end of the day, we will own all this data. We're not going to be married or tied to this company necessarily going forward in terms of being dependent on them for use and access of that data. Did want to touch on ADA ramps a little bit. That's really part of this as well. There's an ADA ramp scan that occurs as part of this scanning process. But I do want to highlight that we do complete a fair amount of ADA ramp work on an annual basis. So we put about $1 million each year into our arterial street maintenance program, where we build 75 to 85 ramps a year as part of our arterial street grind and overlay annual program. And then same thing with our local street maintenance. Varies more in that program, but around 50 to 70 ramps a year. And then through our regular capital projects. That's everything from the full street rebuilds to sidewalk infill projects to safe routes to school or ped bike projects. The amount of ramps that get built annually, that's going to vary a lot depending on the individual projects, but there's a lot of ADA ramp type work that occurs through that type of construction work as well. In terms of that evaluation of what other agencies are doing and other methodologies that could be relevant for us in standing up a program. There's a variety of systems that are out there. There's several cities that have an annual fee structure that's applied to property owners. Denver has a relatively new program that we're really interested in. I think it started 2 or 3 years ago. We're intending to reach out to them and interview them on see how their program is operating. There's some cities that have passed a voter-approved tax, specifically to fund sidewalks. Another program type that's fairly common out there is a 50-50 program, where cities will reimburse adjacent property owners 50% of the costs of fixing their sidewalk. Those programs are fairly popular. And then there's a variety of other programs that exist out there. They're taking those existing dollars dedicated to transportation and allocating some of those funds, whether it's gas tax dollars or other annual transportation-related revenue and dedicating it to a sidewalk program. Then coming back to this workflow program in terms of like schedule and what's coming up over the next year, we're a little bit behind in collection and receiving that data, as I mentioned, so that's kind of slowing us down a little bit. I wouldn't say we're at a stopping point, but until we have all of that data, it kind of limits our ability to go to that next step, which is really to define the magnitude of our need. What's that total cost for sidewalk infill and sidewalk repair? So December going into early next year, we'll be able to really start crunching those numbers and come back to you with like, here's what the cost is to stand up a program. Of course, there's going to be some gray areas in there. You know, how far down the list? How do you prioritize? You know, maybe there's some things at the bottom end of the scale in terms of condition that aren't in the worst shape. You know, that maybe don't make the cut for whatever a program is that's established. But we'll be diving into those details once we have the kind of the totality of all that data. So we look to be doing that as well as refining the design of a potential program and what that might look like into winter and spring, leading to likely some sort of study session with administration and city council to talk about different options going forward with the program. So again, just wanted to update you today. I think we had given you an update in the spring and wanted to touch base with you again, so happy to take any questions at this time.
Councilmember Bingle.
All right, this is related, but not directly related to this. So up by Friendship Park, we had a lot of ADA ramps put in that are not connected to anything, and the neighbors are very confused. Can you share anything on that?
I'd have to go back and look at those specific locations. Was that related to a traffic calming project, or do you recall?
I don't know. All I know is I started getting questions about like, hey, they took my bushes out. They put an ADA ramp here and there's no sidewalk attached to it at all.
Okay. I'd have to look at the specific project and understand it. If there was sidewalk on one side of the street and we install curb ramps, you need a ramp on the other side for them to go to, understanding that from there it maybe seems nonsensical because they don't have a sidewalk, but you got to have a receiving ramp if you have one on the other side. I'll have to look in that specific location and understand.
Because directly across the street
there.
is just a park, right? And so there's not sidewalks on the park. There's pathways on the park, but there's not sidewalks on the park. So we'll connect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that
Okay.
specific location. Yep.
Any other questions? Thanks, Kevin.
All right, pivot to Spokane Falls. That's fine. Right. Yeah, this is an update as well. Wanted to touch base with council, share what we've been working on related to the Spokane Falls Boulevard rebuild project. This is really a planning effort leading to a adoption or a selection of a preferred alternative. Why are we working on this project? There's really two main needs. One, the street itself is in need of a rebuild. The street department's been doing a good job of keeping the condition in decent shape, but it's really not an adequate structural section and needs to be rebuilt. And a lot of the other transportation infrastructure, for instance, some of the traffic signal systems are also, really aged in that area as well. The second need for this project relates to utilities. We have some vintage utilities, original utilities in here from 1890s to early 1900s that are still on the street there. Some of those facilities need to be replaced and in some cases upsized. So it's both a street and a utility need. And again, this is a full rebuild type project. So you think about North Monroe several years ago, some of the work we did on East Sprague a couple years ago, it's that level of project. We're really looking at the entire street as part of the rebuild and looking at reimagining the street as part of that process. So again, the study area is really outside City Hall here at the west end, east over to Division Street. This kind of summarizes the process we've been going through roughly over the last year or so. We did some initial concept development, had a lot of early stakeholder outreach and public engagement, went back to the drawing board in terms of refining concepts to address some of that stakeholder outreach and feedback. Now we're in kind of a second stakeholder push that we've been in the midst of here for the last couple weeks, then ultimately heading to a selection of a preferred alternative here by the end of the year. So in terms of that initial concept development, that work was more internal work, included a lot of traffic modeling, work with our internal departments to really define the needs of the project and to start establishing kind of some early ideas and concepts. This early public and stakeholder engagement was very robust. On the right side, you see all the different entities that we met with at least once, from Downtown Spokane Partnership to WashDOT, Public Facilities District. We met with them several times, and then met with several key property owners along the corridor as well. We also conducted a survey late last year, had 1,200 responses, so had a significant response from that effort. This slide kind of summarizes some of that public survey response. We really focused on two main questions. One, asked them to rank or prioritize improvements they'd like to see on the corridor. Pedestrian accessibility and beautification were two areas that scored the highest. A second question centered around if we were to consider converting a portion of this corridor back to two-way, just from Washington Street to Division Street, and I'll expand a little bit later on why that is. We sought some feedback on their impression of that, and we got pretty diametrically opposed responses. We got about equal strongly agree and agree in terms of converting it back to two-way, but then also some that strongly disagreed in terms of switching that from one-way to two-way. After all that public outreach and engagement, we went kind of back to the drawing board and tried to establish or come up with multiple concepts that really address the wide range of comments that we received. But consistent in all those comments are some foundational elements that we're trying to incorporate in each and every one of the concepts that we've developed. So some of those foundational things are prioritizing safer crosswalks and traffic calming through things such as bump outs, trying to improve the bike lanes to protected bike lanes through the corridor, continuation of the existing shared use path along the Riverfront Park, extending that in front of the Red Wagon area. There is a path there, but it's not the same as what you see west of Stevens Street. So that's sort of a baseline objective, is to extend those improvements all the way to Washington Street. And then included as well as replacing of lighting, replacing the traffic signals as needed, and then those utility upgrades that I referred to earlier. Those are all things that are included in each and every one of the concepts. So we developed more than 4 concepts, but we tried to select some that, again, were diverse and had a range of kind of elements or prioritization to them. So starting at the top left was an option that maintained the 3 existing travel lanes that are there today, narrows the lanes up a little bit, and that allows us to convert that existing bike lane to a one-way protected bike lane. The second option we came up with on the upper right is a 2-lane option that prioritized addition of some parking, because that was some feedback that we got along the way. That option provides some additional parking along the north side of the street, maintains parking on the south side. A third option there on the bottom left is also a 2-lane option, but prioritizing ped and bikes. This option maintains more or less the existing parking as it is today along the southerly side, doesn't add that parking to the north. But what this does on the north side is it allows more space for us to install a 2-way protected cycle track along that north side of the roadway. And then the final option was a 1 travel lane option. There was some questions and interest in that type of an option from the public. The key point here, though, is because of needs for emergency vehicle access and because it's only a 1-way street, we need to maintain essentially 20 feet of clear space. So at the end of the day, in terms of that street width, a one lane option isn't really much more narrow than a 2-lane option. It's 2 lanes at 11 feet, it's 22 feet. Even with a one lane travel option, we need to maintain at least 20 feet of clear width. So you're only gaining really 2 feet in terms of those ped crossing widths and that overall kind of free flow area for traffic by going from a 2-lane to a 1-lane option. But we want to provide that, as an example of what that might look like because there was some community interest in that. So that's going back to this, I didn't clearly state this. So there's really 2 decisions that we have to make in this project. It's this configuration. We need to choose between one of these 4 configurations. There is some opportunity for mixing and matching. There are some nuanced details that that can change within them. But these are the kind of the 4 main options that we're looking at that we need to make a decision amongst. And then the second area or decision that we need to make is east of Washington Street, if we're going to convert that to 2-way or not. So there's really 3 options there. Keep it as is, 1-way, with either 2 or 3 lanes. Second option would be to convert a very short stretch of this, basically from Bernard to Brown to 2-way. And then a final option is convert it to two-way all the way from Washington to Division Street. Now, our motivation for looking at this from the staff level was looking at alternative ways to provide access to the convention center, especially for folks from the west. So if you're parked around City Hall today and you want to get to the convention center, what do you have to do? You have to go all the way over to Division and kind of circle around, go through 4 extra traffic signals to be able to come back one way on Spokane Falls Boulevard to be able to enter the convention center. So these are options and ways, to improve circulation in the convention center, as well as improve access to some of those adjoining properties, within those corridors. So where are we at today in terms of that stakeholder outreach? Kind of summarize things in kind of 5 different areas here. We had some extensive internal workshops with all the interested internal city departments, from Parks and Rec to all the public works departments. Fire department was represented, parking enforcement, also had STA in attendance, kind of looking at all these options and getting their feedback on them. The second group there, the legislative check-ins, we're labeling it. We're in the midst of that. We'll essentially be complete tomorrow with a presentation to the Bicycle Advisory Board. We presented to the Transportation Commission last week, and of course we're here at PIES today. We have additional stakeholder outreach with some of those groups we've met with in the past to follow up with them with these refined alternatives. That work is coming up in November. We're envisioning also a workshop with elected officials and kind of director level staff from partner agencies such as WashDOT and SRTC. We're envisioning that touch point to occur sometime in November, and then go out with the final general public outreach to solicit input on these alternatives, and ultimately trying to get to a preferred alternative and project selection by the end of this year, so that we can go into final design work through 26 into 2027, with construction tentatively targeted for 2028. So that's a lot there to digest, but just wanted to update you on where we're at. Any questions for today?
Councilmember Dillon.
Yeah, thank you for all the work on this, the public engagement. It's wild that we have facilities from the 1890s under the Spokane Falls Boulevard. Yeah. I think, I'll just be really interested about where this goes with the relationship to, I think, the convention center, and how, that we do have that feeding into the Spokane Falls Boulevard from Brown, and that's become such a more popular spot for cycling with the addition of the bike ped bridge and the U District, and you start to see that be a more high-use commuter route. It is oftentimes, it gets confusing with that merge as you are coming across from Spokane Falls Boulevard, across Division, Brown. You have that quick light, and then you're there and just right mixed in with cars and trying to navigate that. So, I think that's one sort of pressure point where I can see this, a lot of this hinging on that kind of access, while also, again, trying to make sure that there's not a disruption to the convention center, but also thinking through how we make this more connective to Riverfront Park.
Yeah. No, great. And thank you for mentioning that. I'll take that to highlight one key thing there at that Brown intersection. I think we're all familiar with it. If you're coming from the north and you come through that S-turn, you can take kind of that high-speed sort of off-ramp, if you will, on the Spokane Falls Boulevard. All of the alternatives we're contemplating will get rid of that kind of high-speed movement and will force cars to slow down and make more of a traditional right turn, kind of get rid of that two-stage pedestrian crossing that occurs today, where you got to go out to that island in the middle and then you're making another crossing. So really all of the alternatives, one way, two way or not, all contemplate making changes to that intersection, improving that safety. And you mentioned a key point on that sort of bike commuter access as well. Summertime, the Centennial Trail is really busy. So we get a lot of input and feedback that it's not the greatest for bikes either. They got to slow down, they're dodging people. These facilities really provide that kind of parallel route, for that faster traveling bicycles and separate them from pedestrians. So it's kind of an objective of the project as well.
Yeah, thank you. How much thought have we given, I think you've answered this before, to the interaction with the North Division High Performance Transit Network. I know you're collaborating with STA on this.
Yes.
And also there is a bike shop like right there too. So
Yeah.
it's like very important that we get all of that.
There's some synergy there, yes. The Division BRT route doesn't travel on Spokane Falls itself, so it's mostly running down to Sprague. So there really isn't much of a conflict there, but we are interacting with STA nonetheless. They do have, routes that have used Spokane Falls Boulevard, so we're definitely trying to future-proof and include whatever their visions are for the corridor as well.
Any other questions? Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, great, thank you.
Next, we have Chris Wright explaining the council staffing ordinance.
Thank you, Chair Klitsky. Council members. In your packet is ordinance C 36774 relating to council staffing requirements. This ordinance was, I think, started to be drafted early September, thereabout. And what it does is, under the current ordinance, council central staff basically cannot be discharged without a vote of the council of at least 5 concurring votes. Plus, they cannot be hired, in theory, without at least 4 votes. It was felt that this ordinance, along with some other related provisions that particularly identified 5 central staff positions, was cumbersome and overly restrictive on council hiring decisions. And so what this ordinance does is it modifies those provisions relating to central staff, provides that the council president can make decisions on hiring and firing of central staff, subject to consultation with council members. And then I'll get to a possible amendment in a minute, but the other thing that it does, it actually removes sections 02.005, 050 through 090 that identifies the 5 central staff positions that are currently in the code and repeals those sections. There is also a section in there that modifies the language relating to the LA2 position, which was created last year, I think. And I'm not sure that the council's satisfied with the way the LA2 position is working, and so it was thought maybe we could repeal that designation and work on some other options. The other final thing about this is that it's crafted as an emergency ordinance. When the conversation first started about this ordinance, we thought we had the luxury of passing this roughly about the time that the council would be adopting a budget. We've since heard from the legal department that we need to pass this before there's a vote or council action on the budget, if you want the flexibility that's currently envisioned in the ordinance. So otherwise, you are going to be, if you make any decisions regarding positions, you're going to have to follow the current statute and the requirements for a vote and a resolution for those positions. So the only thing other I would say is that it's queued up for adding to the agenda tonight for final action next week. There are 2 amendments, one from Councilmember Dillon, one from Councilmember Cathcart. Fairly similar. They would both restore the language that's currently in the code regarding LA2s, but they take a slightly different approach on the council president's decision-making with respect to council or central staff. So,
Questions?
Well, I just wanted to really say that we had started on this back in June.
I don't know that I actually drafted anything until September, but I know the conversation started much earlier.
Back in
So,
June. So it wasn't just like right now. Also, in talking with our HR director, really no one likes to have their position voted on from the dais, and no other employees in the city have to go through that type of process to be voted for or against. So we thought it was better HR policy and really for the employee, whoever that might be.
Councilmember Dillon, then Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment and appreciate that summary, Mr. Wright, and thank you, Council President. And I want to be very sensitive, to these discussions because, these are people's lives. This is in our office. But really, for me, the ordinance does come down to providing, I think, a flexibility. I wasn't here when the original ordinance passed, but it's an oddity in the context of other organizations, other governing bodies to have this requirement for 5 votes. I know a lot of focus has been around the firing of positions, but it's also hiring, it's modifying, it's if we were going to downgrade, reclassify. There's a lot of, I think, inflexibility with this code in order for how we want to shape our office and the role of council. Obviously, we're not all going to come to a consensus on some of these issues, but the hope is that by moving this forward, we can think through some changes that we want to make. I know that part of the ordinance too does leave some room open for us to kind of finalize some changes with the adoption of council rules in 2026. And yeah, my amendment does bring back the LA2 position, as it stands as a former legislative assistant myself. I know how hard that position can be, and so trying to make sure that that is restored. And I don't want to speak for Councilmember Cathcart, but I do support his amendment as well. I think it does kind of clarify some of those roles and responsibilities between the autonomy with council members and their own LAs and expectations. So, yeah.
So it says it would leave those decisions with the council president subject to consultation. What does that mean?
I think that means she has to consult with council members. It doesn't say anything more than that. You can't have a meeting about it, obviously, but she can talk to individual council members about their particular points of view before she decides.
I guess I'm asking, what is consultation? That's my question.
I think that's open to interpretation.
I would say currently, in the last few years, we have had a council ops committee that meets 3 of us, or 3 council members meet on the office operations, what's going forward, and then that's brought back to the council.
So is that what we're envisioning for consultation then?
I'll just make an addition there. I think part of that would be our rules and procedures that are also adopted typically at the beginning of the new year. So that would also be a very involved council process.
Are the rules referenced in here that consultation would be with related to our council rules? Yeah.
The rules are not written yet, so that particular language would anticipate that council adopts related rules by January 30th of next year. So hasn't been outlined yet.
Yeah. I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think all council members should be consulted if we're, hiring such important staff, members to the team or firing staff members. Either one, I think it's important for all council members to be able to get their input.
I think that I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it's maintaining compliance with the Open Meetings Act and the requirements there.
Yeah, I mean, individually you can go and chat with each council member, right? But, yeah.
Councilmember Dillon had something, and we're kind of jumping back and forth instead of waiting to be recognized. So try to be aware when you're doing that. Either look at other folks and see that there's someone else who wants to talk, or take turns.
Yeah, I appreciate that point. I think totally open to, I think, maybe clarifying that was my interpretation on it. And I understand that my interpretation might be very different than someone else's. So, but I think a way to possibly get there would be to maybe specify that when we do have our discussion on the rules and procedures.
Thank you. I will just add that this is sort of a structural anomaly that we're trying to address here. This has not given us flexibility to plan for situations where the budget gets tighter or our priorities change or technology changes. I'm not sure what the thinking was of the folks who structured it this way, but I think we definitely need to do some work to make it so that we can manage our office like anyone else would. Go ahead. My mic is terrible.
No, I agree. I mean, I originally opposed the ordinance that got passed for this very reason. You need to be able to have certain flexibility in there. And I understand from the staff perspective, wanting to have certain protections and understanding what it is, particularly in such a volatile environment. Politics shifts pretty quickly. But we do need to have more flexibility in that position.
And for the general knowledge, this subject did not come up because of the performance or behavior of any staff. This is more about how we structure and arrange our office and having some choice in how we do that. So, no further questions? So we'll move on to council, board, and commission updates. Starting with Airport Board.
Thank you. So, we just hired our new CEO, David Herring, out there. He is officially in the city and on the job. Council, or at least I am working with our council office, Jacoby Bird, to have a joint meeting with the county around airport operations and opportunities and the whole PFAS thing going forward, so we can all be on the same page. So we're trying to get that scheduled hopefully by the first quarter of 2026 with everything else that's going on. So look forward to that coming.
I think we'll wait till next week for the Broadlink update, if Council Member Cathcart's willing to do that then. Spokane Transit. Go right ahead.
The ST board met this week or last week and had a retreat where we were talking about kind of best how to, current implementation of the last strategic plan from 2016, STA moving forward, and how STA has delivered almost everything from that plan already and on track to completing those projects. And then last year, STA board adopted the next phase, Connect 2035. And so we're talking about the different opportunities of how to best implement that and the timing of that and the different windows of opportunity on the sales tax measure, which is set to expire at the end of 2028. And so we were just kind of kicking off that conversation of what to do to best support that. At the board meeting, we went over the budget. I feel like that's pretty much what we did, was talk about the budget at the board meeting.
Yeah.
It was just the first touch of the budget.
And I'll just add, we had real conversation on federal funding at that board meeting.
Okay, next we have Spokane Regional Transportation Council, where we discussed our legislative priority list. The unified list is what we call it for both the state and federal levels. We approved those lists, and we reviewed the 2050 draft of the county coordinated public transportation plan. That does seem like an STA function, but there are actually multiple providers in the system. So we got a preview of that, and that's about it. There was no meeting of the Spokane Salmon Restoration Collaborative and the Spokane Solid Waste Advisory Committee. We got some updates on the transfer station operations and a work plan draft, but we did not have a quorum, so we did not conduct any business. Okay, that adjourns our meeting. Oh, staff up, I don't think we have anybody on the list, do we? Oh, Abby, I don't see you on here, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I was easy to overlook.
No, like it's literally not written down, I'm sorry about that.
Please don't worry. I was just going to update on Transportation Commission. I know that time conflicts for many of you, but a lot of you have sent your liaisons, and I think that's just super helpful, so thank you. The Transportation Commission is currently reviewing traffic calming projects for both completing the 27 by 27 network, adaptive projects for 2026, and then construction projects for 2027. The majority of those projects are coming from the list generated by our neighborhood councils. We're still receiving public comment, and there'll be a hearing in November. So if folks do have comments about preferred projects or priorities, they're welcome to send those to me. Additionally, Transportation Commission reviewed a couple items. One, shared streets legislation and what that might look like here in Spokane. And then two, weighing in on support for overriding the current exemption for 6,000 plus vehicles to be exempted from car tab fees. So our cars are getting larger and heavier, and those are also the cars that hurt our roads the most and aren't paying into the fund. And so there was broad support for the Transportation Commission to say that that should be a legislative priority. So just wanted to make those things known.
Great update. Thanks, Abby. Now we can adjourn.